She told me she'd never leave. That we were building a life together. That I was her soulmate. What she didn't tell me was that I was just a mark. And by the time I figured it out, I had nothing left. Not my money, not my pride, not even my name. This is how I fell in love with a fraud. I met Talia on a rainy Thursday night. Funny how I remember that. Most of my memories from that year are a blur. But not that night. I was at a networking event for tech startups in downtown Austin, bored out of my mind. I was standing by the bar, sipping a watered-down gin and tonic, when she walked in. She wasn't the kind of beautiful that turned heads. She was the kind that made the room stop breathing. Curly dark hair tucked behind one ear, deep brown eyes that felt like they could see right through you. She wore a green dress, confident but not flashy. She smiled at me like we were already sharing a secret. "Talia," she said, extending her hand. "Investor. And mind reader." I laughed. "Daniel. Developer. And full of anxiety." She laughed too, and just like that, we clicked. Over the next few weeks, we talked every day. Mornings started with her good morning texts. Nights ended with her voice in my ear, whispering dreams we hadn't lived yet. She told me everything, or so I thought. About her past. Her startup days in LA. Her rough family background. The way she'd clawed her way out of nothing. "I never had anyone," she said one night, lying beside me on the couch. "That's why I don't take love for granted. Not yours." It hit me like lightning. I believed her. Every single word. 3 months in, she moved in with me. Said her lease was up. Said her landlord was awful. I didn't question it. I was just happy to have her close. She cooked dinner. She redecorated. She took calls in the spare bedroom and told me about the angel investors she was pitching to. She told me her latest venture was going to change the world. Sustainable fashion meets blockchain. I didn't get the tech, but I believed in her. How could I not? She was charming. Brilliant. And when she looked at me, I felt like I mattered in a way I never had before. Then came the first ask. She was behind on payroll, she said. Just a rough patch. Investors were slow, but a big check was on the way. "Can you help me cover it?" "Just $10,000. 2 weeks, tops." I hesitated. That was a lot. But she kissed me and said, "I'd never ask if I wasn't desperate. I'll pay you back the second the money clears." She said, "We're building this life together, remember? It's our future." So I said yes. 2 weeks passed. No payback. Then came another emergency. Then another. Her laptop got stolen. She was threatened with a lawsuit. Her mom had a stroke in New Mexico. Every time, the story came with tears, or rage, or both. And every time, I handed over more. $10,000 became $30,000. $30,000 became $50,000. Then I dipped into my savings. Then I took out a loan. By the time I realized I was floating her life, not building one with her, I was $117,000 deep. But love makes you stupid. It makes you see what you want, not what is. And I wanted her to be real so badly, I ignored every sign she wasn't. One night, I walked into the spare room while she was on a call. Except, there was no one on the screen. The laptop was off. She slammed it shut when she saw me. Said I was invading her privacy. Said I had trust issues. I backed off. I apologized. I felt crazy. But the feeling wouldn't leave. Then came the night it all cracked. She said she was flying to New York for a make-or-break investor dinner. She kissed me goodbye at 6 a.m., suitcase in hand. But hours later, I got a notification on my iPad. Someone had connected to our home Wi-Fi. I checked the security cameras. She was still in town. Not just in town. At a hotel. With another man. I froze. Watched the footage 10 times. Couldn't breathe. My heart felt like it was collapsing in on itself. I drove to the hotel. Waited. Watched. And when she walked out, arm in arm with him, laughing like I never existed, I knew. She hadn't just taken my money. She had taken me. She didn't just lie to me. She lied to him. And the guy before him. And the one before that. She didn't just steal my heart, she perfected the art of emotional fraud. And when I started digging, I discovered a web of destruction that stretched across state lines, and left broken men in its wake. After catching Talia at the hotel with that guy, I didn't confront her, not immediately. I couldn't. I was numb, standing outside in the rain like some cliché movie scene. I waited for her to come home that night. She walked in, makeup freshened, suitcase in hand, fake smile locked and loaded. I didn't say anything. Just stared. She gave me a kiss on the cheek, told me the meeting went great, said she'd update me in the morning. I nodded. Played dumb. But inside, something had snapped. That night, I barely slept. By morning, I had a plan. I started with her laptop. She rarely let it out of her sight, but she'd left it on the counter while showering. Her password was her birthday. I know, right? What I found. Emails to 3 different men, each with the same tone she once used with me. One in Chicago. One in Miami. One right here in Austin. Same sweet promises. Same sob stories. Same ask, can you help me until the funding comes through? One guy sent her $2,500 through Zelle. Another wired $15,000. There were screenshots of crypto transfers, photos of her in lingerie I never saw in real life, and half-finished NDAs she probably Googled to sound legit. I was sick to my stomach. I made a burner email and contacted the guy from Miami. Subject: she's not who you think she is. Didn't expect a reply. But the next day, I got a call. Is this about Talia? The man asked, his voice sharp, defensive. Yeah, I said. I'm her boyfriend. Or I thought I was. Silence. Then. Me too. His name was Marcus. Turns out, he met her on a crypto networking platform 6 months before I did. She flew out to Miami twice, stayed in his apartment, told him she was in love. She even convinced him to co-sign a business loan. $40,000. He never saw the money, or her, again. She ghosted him a week before she moved in with me. She's a professional, he said. She's done this before. We're not the first. I didn't want to believe it. But he was right. I started digging deeper, really deep. I hired a private investigator. Cost me my last few thousand. But it was worth it. What he found was beyond anything I could have imagined. Her name wasn't Talia. Well, one of her names was. But legally, she'd changed her identity twice in 5 years. Born Rebecca Lane Myers. Arrested in 2017 for fraud in Colorado. Charges dropped. Resurfaced in 2019 in Phoenix as Talia Monroe, launched a fake wellness brand, scammed investors, disappeared. In 2021, she was in Seattle, going by Andrea Bliss, posing as a wellness coach and dating a surgeon. Took him for $78,000 and vanished. 3 aliases. Multiple fraud cases. No convictions. Just smoke. Just trauma. Just vanishing acts. When I confronted her, finally, I didn't scream. I didn't rage. I just showed her the printed documents. Her old mugshot. Screenshots of the fake emails. She froze. Then she smiled. You're smarter than I thought, she said. Not sorry. Not panicked. Just calm. Cold. I had to survive, she added. You don't understand what it's like to grow up with nothing. Men like you think your hearts are the only things that matter. But money. That's what keeps people alive. I stared at her. This woman I once wanted to marry. You used me, I said. She shrugged. You let me. The next morning, she was gone. Left the apartment keys and took everything she hadn't already stolen. No forwarding address. No trace. Her social media. Deleted. Bank accounts. Emptied. Phone number. Disconnected. The only thing she left me was debt. And shame. But I wasn't done. I posted her photo anonymously to a Reddit thread about romance scams. Within hours, the replies poured in. I know her. Her name was Renee. When I met her, she told me her ex was abusive and stole her money. Guess I was the ex. She owes me $12,000. She vanished after telling me she was pregnant. At least 12 men, all with the same story. Different names. Different lies. Same ending. Some were angry. Some were embarrassed. One admitted he tried to take his life after she left him broke and alone. We weren't just victims. We were targets. She disappeared like smoke. But con artists always resurface, because greed doesn't sleep. So I waited. And when she showed her face again, I wasn't the heartbroken man she scammed. I was the one setting the bait. And this time, she wasn't walking away clean. 6 months passed. I was rebuilding my life from the ground up. I'd moved out of the apartment we once shared. Sold most of my things. Took a second job writing back-end code for a security app. Therapy was twice a week. The shame, the insomnia, the anxiety, they didn't vanish, but they didn't own me anymore either. Every day, I told myself the same thing. You survived her. You won't let her win again. But I couldn't let go entirely. Not yet. Because somewhere out there, she was still scamming someone. Still breaking hearts. Still destroying lives. And then, it happened. One evening, I was scrolling LinkedIn, half-focused, when I saw a familiar face in a mutual's new startup announcement. There she was. Shorter haircut. New glasses. Different name. Elena Hart, Director of Strategic Partnerships, Novosphere AI. Same smile. Same eyes. Same con. And the write-up? It made me sick. Elena is a visionary entrepreneur, with a decade of experience connecting tech founders to ethical capital. She believes in investing not just in products, but in people. The irony made me want to scream. But this time, I didn't feel powerless. This time, I had a plan. I contacted Marcus, the guy she scammed in Miami, and we formed a group chat with the other victims who'd spoken up on Reddit. We called ourselves the Survivors Club. 6 of us were ready to fight. 3 had legal experience. 1 had cybersecurity skills. Me. I had motivation. And the receipts. We created a digital dossier. Dates, screenshots, messages, photos. Her aliases. The transactions. The fake business names. We cross-referenced public records, compiled evidence from multiple states, and tracked the digital fingerprints she'd left behind. We didn't just want revenge. We wanted her stopped. But police, slow, skeptical, said it was a civil matter. DA's office didn't have bandwidth. So we went another route. The press. A journalist from a well-known online publication specializing in tech crime and emotional fraud took interest. She verified our claims. Interviewed each of us. Within weeks, the article was live. The Startup Siren. How Elena Hart scammed dozens of men across the U.S. It included her mugshot. Her real name, Rebecca Lane Myers. The fraud history. Victim testimonials. A timeline of her schemes. And it went viral. Fast. Reddit picked it up. Twitter ran wild with it. Podcasts, YouTubers, even morning talk shows started talking about the tech world romance con artist. Suddenly, she couldn't hide behind a new name anymore. Then came the call from a woman I didn't expect. Her name was Janelle, and she worked at Novosphere AI. She wasn't a victim, she was her co-worker. She told us she graduated from Yale. That she helped fund 3 clean energy startups. Everyone here looked up to her, Janelle said. her voice trembling. I shared an office with her for months. I thought she was my friend. When the article dropped, the company let her go. Quietly. No lawsuit. No charges. Just gone. Same playbook. Same silence. But we weren't done yet. Using the public heat, we filed a multi-state lawsuit, civil, not criminal, but big enough to freeze her assets. She tried to disappear again. But this time, she had nowhere to go. Eventually, a warrant was issued for failure to appear in court regarding her Colorado fraud case. Yes, the one from 2017. She was caught in Arizona, under a new name, trying to rent a luxury condo with fake documents. She didn't cry. Didn't plead. Didn't apologize. The mugshot was emotionless. Cold. But, to me, it looked like justice. The court process dragged out for months. She pled guilty to wire fraud and identity falsification. No major jail time, 18 months, plus restitution, but for someone who thought she'd never be caught? It was a cage. She was forced to pay back nearly $300,000 to victims across 3 states. I got a check for $42,613. Not nearly what she stole, but enough to start breathing again. So what now? I still have scars. Still have nights I wonder if any of it, any of her, was ever real. But I've learned to stop looking for closure in people who never cared. She promised forever. What I got was fraud. But what I kept, what she couldn't steal, was the part of me that loved for real. That part's still here. Wiser now. Stronger now. Never again fooled by someone who only knows how to take. If you've been scammed, emotionally, financially, spiritually, this is your reminder. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You're human. And you're not alone. Leave a comment if you've ever been through something similar. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes, surviving is the revenge.